So in recent days, I made a video counting down my list of what I think were the 10 best Oscar nominations of 2021, the top 10 nods at the 94th Academy Awards. Now it's time to talk what I think were the worst. Now these are not necessarily terrible nominations, it's just 10 that I wasn't super hot on and that I think could have been replaced by something better. Like in my last video, I've given myself 3 rules. The first is no winners. Anyone who actually won an Oscar will not show up on this list. Like, I didn't much care for that Will Smith win for King Richard. I think Andrew Garfield should have taken it for Tick, Tick, Boom, but I won't be talking about Smith here. The second rule is I can only list a movie once, so if there's a film that got lots and lots of nominations that I hated, I'm not just going to count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all of those nominations. That would be kind of boring. And number 3, I can only list a category once. So let's say there were 3 people in supporting actor that I wanted out of there, I can only pick 1. Now remember, don't take this list too seriously, we're just going to have some fun. Are you ready? Here we go. Number 10, Best Sound, The Power of the Dog.
You don't have to do this. I'll see you don't have to do it.
So Jane Campion's The Power of the Dog is a very good film. It did extremely well at the Oscars, getting 12 nominations. Like, I would keep most of them, certainly the acting nominations, and many of the texts are pretty good, but the one that's always made me scratch my head a little bit is that Best Sound nomination. It is such an intimate, quiet film, and I just don't know if Best Sound is the right category to put The Power of the Dog in. I mean, yes, this is a nuanced category. It's not just about the blockbusters, action films, the movies with the most sound, the loudest films. That's not what I'm saying. But I have watched The Power of the Dog twice, and in terms of the sound work, it's solid. I just don't know if it was worthy of an Academy Award nomination. I think there were a couple other 2021 releases I would have rather seen here, especially films that didn't get nominated at all that could have shown up in this category. In Best Sound, I would take out The Power of the Dog and replace it with A Quiet Place Part 2. The first Quiet Place film back in 2018 did get a sound Oscar nomination. That was really cool. As I talk about on the channel all the time, horror films are almost never represented at the Academy Awards. I certainly wasn't expecting A Quiet Place Part 2 to get a bunch of Oscar nominations, but I do think the sound work on the original and on the sequel are outstanding. I would have liked the 2021 sequel to have gotten into Best Sound. Number 9, Best International Feature, Lunana, A Yak in the Classroom. So I didn't have anything against this film. It was perfectly fine. It was my least favorite of the 5 international film nominees. That was a very strong category at the 94th Academy Awards. I loved almost everything in there. I mean, the winner, Drive My Car, is amazing. The Worst Person in the World was in my top 5 films of the year. Even The Hand of God, which I found to be a little long, was still a very good piece of filmmaking. Lunana, A Yak in the Classroom, was one of the last films I watched before the ceremony, and yeah, it's okay. It's kind of slow. It has its moments. I just think it could have missed here because there is a much better international feature that should have gotten in. I don't really know what happened in Spain, why they submitted a film called The Good Boss instead. Parallel Mothers should have been the official selection for Spain. I mean, this film gets into both original score and Best Actress for Penelope Cruz. Many people online for weeks were saying that Penelope Cruz was going to surprise, and beat Jessica Chastain for Best Actress, but the whole time I'm just like, the movie itself is not even nominated for Best International Feature. It should be. It is an absorbing, very entertaining film that should have gotten into the Oscars in the Best International Feature category. I would take out Lunana, A Yak in the Classroom, and replace it with Parallel Mothers from director Pedro Almodovar.
Parece que tiene un poquito bajo el azúcar, pero también me han dicho que no es nada. Seguro, seguro.
Number 8, Best Makeup and Hairstyling, House of Gucci.
Never confuse shit with chocolato. They may look the same, but the taste very different.
Now, to be honest, for a hot minute, I thought about putting Coming to America in this list, just because that movie wasn't very good. It was kind of a lackluster sequel. But I don't know, because comedies are so rarely recognized at the Academy Awards, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I decided instead to go with House of Gucci, where I think a lot of the makeup and hairstyling is overdone, especially with the Jared Leto character. Like, we got so close to that terrible performance being nominated for Best Supporting Actor. We totally dodged a bullet on that one. I was not a fan of that performance, and I thought he brought the movie down a lot. It was just way too cartoonish. I don't know, I just had a lot of problems with that movie. It did not surprise me when it basically became an Oscar fiasco and just got that one nomination in makeup and hairstyling. Speaking of Oscar fiasco, stay tuned for an upcoming video I'm making all about House of Gucci and how it fell short big time at the Academy Awards. This nomination is fine, I don't hate it, but I would rather have seen a great film like Cyrano get into makeup and hairstyling. I adored that film. It should have gotten more than just the one nomination for costume design. I think Cyrano should have gotten at least 3 or 4 Oscar nominations, if not more. And so in makeup and hairstyling, I would take out House of Gucci and replace it with Cyrano.
I'm not impressed by your swordsmanship.
Oh, I know. Or rather, I know you pretend you're not.
I'd be very angry with you if you died.
Only angry?
Incandescent.
Number 7, Best Film Editing, King Richard.
Okay, Mr. Williams,
Wait,
this
now,
is
hold on,
really
hold
not
on.
necessary.
Hold on. You want to check on the kids? Let's check on the kids.
King Richard was a movie I liked, I didn't love. I watched it on a plane and it passed the time very nicely. I admired the performances, the true life story kept me engaged, but the editing? Like, fine, put King Richard into Best Picture, give it that nomination and win, I guess, for Will Smith. Antigua Ellis in Best Supporting Actress, that is a great nomination. But film editing? Film editing. Who walked out of King Richard and said, damn, the editing of that film was on fire? Like, again, kind of with Best Sound, film editing doesn't have to be like the most flashiest editing of the year, but I do think to a certain extent you should notice the editing in some capacity. There should be something unique about the editing of the film, and I just didn't find that in King Richard. I don't think it deserved that nomination at all. A movie from 2021 I loved that got 0 Oscar nominations. I think it should have gotten into Best Actor. It would have been an all-timer nomination, and it should have gotten into a couple tech categories, especially Best Editing. I don't know how many of you have seen Red Rocket. Red Rocket is a fantastic film with beautiful editing all the way through that supports that captivating story and that Simon Rex lead performance. In this tech category, I would take out King Richard and replace it with Red Rocket.
Go away!
Hey, Lil!
Number 6, Best Supporting Actress, Judi Dench, Belfast.
I was a great one for the pictures when I was your age. I used to think you could climb right inside the screen and visit all those strange places you saw.
So there were 2 2021 films that got into Best Picture that I didn't like at all. Belfast was one of them. I found this movie to be a total bore. It did almost nothing for me. I admired some of the cinematography, I admired a couple of the performances, I thought Jude Hill was very good, but overall this one fell kind of flat to me. I didn't understand what all the fuss was about, and I do think one of the more lackluster Oscar nominations of this ceremony was Judi Dench. It felt so safe, so boring. Yes, Dame Judi Dench is one of our great actors, and she's often very, very good. I didn't think she did anything extraordinary in Belfast. For a long chunk of the movie, she's barely even in it. She gets one significant moment toward the end, and I think that's what gave her the nomination. And to make things even more annoying, Katrina Balfe was nominated for most everything that season. She had never received an Oscar nomination before, and many were predicting her to get in, and so it felt like a slap in the face in a way for Balfe to get so many precursor nods, and then she misses at the Oscars so that we can give Judi Dench yet another Oscar nomination, one that she had no chance in winning. I just felt that whole situation was lame, especially because one of my 5 favorite performances of the year was Ruth Negga in Passing, a very underrated 2021 title. I love this film, and Ruth Negga, like Katrina Balfe, got into most of the precursors, and I was very hopeful she would get into the Oscars. She had that nomination before for Loving in 2017, but then Negga missed and Judi Dench got in instead. Give me an effing break. Passing should have gotten into the Oscars in 3, 4, 5 categories, maybe more. Ruth Negga absolutely deserved to get into Best Supporting Actress, so in this category, I would, in a heartbeat, take out Judi Dench for Belfast and replace her with Ruth Negga for Passing.
After all these years, what would it matter if you found out that I was 1 or 2% colored,
Well, you can turn as black as you please as far as I'm concerned. I know you're not colored.
Number 5, Best Picture, Licorice Pizza.
I'm gonna choke your brother. I kept it inside, but what I wanted to say was, no, I'm gonna choke you.
Oh, yeah?
I would have said it. I was trying to stay cool, though.
Alright, so if there's anything in this video that's going to give me some hate, it's probably this one. I have to be honest. I am a huge Paul Thomas Anderson fan. Some of my favorite films of all time are Boogie Nights, Magnolia, Punch Drunk Love, There Will Be Blood, and Phantom Thread. I mean, this guy has made at least 5 all-timer masterpieces, and up until 2021, there was only one film he'd made I hated, and that was Inherent Vice from 2014. Well, with Licorice Pizza, he made a film that was just as bad as Inherent Vice, and I was shocked, frankly. I had heard nothing but great things. I know many of you liked or loved that movie. From the opening scene, it never worked for me. Outside of some fun moments with Bradley Cooper's character, I found Licorice Pizza to be flat and dull and uninteresting. The narrative never engaged me, and I struggled just to make it to the end. That's how much I didn't like Licorice Pizza. I didn't think this movie deserved to get all those nominations it did throughout award season, and at the Oscars, I mean, I'm kind of surprised it got into Picture, Director, and Screenplay. I just didn't think it was that strong. I think there were much better films released in 2021 that could have taken Licorice Pizza's slot in Best Picture, and for me, there is an obvious one. It got very close. It showed up at the PGA Awards, and it's one of my 5 favorite films of the year. I'm always grateful that Tick, Tick, Boom got into Best Actor for Andrew Garfield and Best Film Editing, but come on. This film should have done even better. It should have gotten a screenplay nomination. I would have loved Lin-Manuel Miranda to have gotten into Best Director, and Tick, Tick, Boom should have gotten into Best Picture. Again, I think I'm in the minority about Licorice Pizza. I know many people love it, and obviously many Academy members did to get it into Screenplay, Director, and Picture, but especially a couple years on, I just don't see it. In Best Picture at the 94th Academy Awards, I would take out Licorice Pizza and replace it with Tick, Tick, Boom.
I could just watch you dancing forever.
Number 4, Best Visual Effects, Free Guy.
I can't die! I'm never gonna die!
If the category was most visual effects, then yeah, I guess Free Guy qualifies. There is definitely very good effects work being done in that movie, but it's just so much. It's so overwhelming that I'm just like, what are we really rewarding here? The movie itself was just okay. I don't think it deserves to be an Academy Award nominated film. After this movie ended, I have not thought about it since. There was just nothing special to the story or to the special effects. I think we could have gone much more creative in this category, and one movie that didn't even make the shortlist but should have, I think had tremendous visual effects, some of them CGI and some of them practical. As I've already mentioned in this video, horror films are rarely recognized by the Academy. I think *Malignant*, directed by James Wan, should have gotten a Best Visual Effects nomination. The central villainous creature that wreaks havoc in that third act is spectacular. The visual effects blew me away. This would have been an all-timer nomination. That would have been so cool. In Best Visual Effects, I would take out Free Guy and replace it with *Malignant*.
Don't even try.
Number 3, Best Original Screenplay, Don't Look Up.
You're about to lose the midterms because you got caught sending pictures of your cooch to your porn star sheriff boyfriend. So now it's to your advantage to act on the comment.
Right.
Don't Look Up was a 2021 film that was very divisive. I liked it, I guess, more than others. I would have given it like a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. It has an amazing ensemble cast that definitely pulls you through. The DiCaprio performance is fantastic. Meryl Streep is really fun as the President of the United States. But I've got to tell you, I was getting nervous as we came closer to the Oscar ceremony that Don't Look Up was actually going to win Best Original Screenplay. I did not think that screenplay deserved to be nominated. It certainly did not deserve to win anything. One of the big problems with Don't Look Up was the tone. It kind of goes up and down, all over the place. I do think that script could have used a few more revisions, and I think a much more unique, exciting screenplay of 2021 that should have taken Don't Look Up's place was Pig. That movie floored me. I adored the Nicolas Cage performance. It's kind of a subtle film. You could argue Don't Look Up is bigger, more ambitious, but I was really taken with the haunting nature of the Pig screenplay. It was one of the 10 best films of the year. Nicolas Cage was absolutely worthy of getting into Best Actor, and that script should have been nominated. In Best Original Screenplay, I would take out Don't Look Up and replace it with Pig.
None of it is real. The critics aren't real. The customers aren't real. Because this isn't real.
Number 2, Best Original Song, Somehow You Do, from 4 Good Days. Now, if you saw my previous Worst of 2022 video, my number 1 choice for the worst nomination at the 95th Academy Awards was Best Original Song for Diane Warren, her song Applause from Tell It Like a Woman. That was such a joke of a nomination. Like, what the hell happened there? Diane Warren does not need to get a nomination every single year for these random ass movies. Like, come on. Now, I do think her song in 4 Good Days is a better one than the one she was nominated for Tell It Like a Woman, but still, it just plays over the end credits. It doesn't really have a role in the film itself, and the movie had no traction that award season. It was just a weird nomination that only happened because Diane Warren is who she is, and she'll get nominated for anything. And to make matters worse, I think there was a much better song from a film in 2021 that should have been recognized. It wasn't one of my favorite films of the year, but this was probably my favorite scene in the movie. The song So May We Start from Annette, starring Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard, I think that is a much better, catchier song than Somehow You Do. So in Best Original Song, I would take out Somehow You Do from 4 Good Days and replace it with So May We Start from Annette. Alright, so that takes me to the number 1 slot. What do I think was the worst Oscar nomination of 2021? I didn't have to think more than 2 seconds about this one. It was an easy call for me. It was a nomination for another film I did not care for in 2021. I didn't think it deserved to get into Best Actor or Best Actress, but that supporting actor nomination was a travesty. My choice for that year's worst Oscar nomination is Best Supporting Actor, J.K. Simmons, Being the Ricardos.
There's no such thing as the Danny Thomas Show. It's called Make Room for Daddy. Don't tell me comedy. And if Little Rusty is a communist, then I'm going to beat the shit out of a 7-year-old kid. I have no problem with that.
I mean, I typically admire Aaron Sorkin's work. I mean, one of my favorite films of all time is The Social Network, which earned Sorkin the Best Adapted Screenplay Oscar, so well deserved, and I sort of liked his directorial debut Molly's Game starring Jessica Chastain from 2017, but Being the Ricardos for me was a slog. This movie was kind of awful. It wasn't well cast, it was almost never engaging or entertaining in any way, it just kind of lumbers along toward the end. I know some people liked it, even loved it, but this one, like Licorice Pizza and Belfast, had me shaking my head. I didn't get it. I didn't get what people saw in it. I thought the performances of Javier Bardem and Nicole Kidman were strained and not great. And when Kidman won the Golden Globe, I got very nervous. I was like, is she gonna win a second Academy Award for this film? Even though The Eyes of Tammy Faye isn't great, I much prefer that Oscar win in Best Actress for Jessica Chastain. An Oscar win for Nicole Kidman in Being the Ricardos would not have aged well at all, but at least Bardem and Kidman are trying or creating characters of some note, whereas J.K. Simmons, I thought, was just kind of playing a version of himself. There was nothing special about that performance. I found it to be rather bland. Like, it's not really Simmons' fault. He didn't have much to work with in that movie. And it just stuns me to this day. Like, he got an Oscar nomination for that performance. Give me a break. I mean, I guess it can be hard to hate this nomination because J.K. Simmons is awesome. His Best Supporting Actor Oscar win for Whiplash is one of the 5 best acting Oscar wins of the 2010s. Whiplash is an all-timer movie. I love it, and I love his performance in it. That was a performance worthy of an Oscar nomination and win. His performance in Being the Ricardos, no. Like, that should not have shown up on any lists anywhere, especially at the Oscars. There were so many better choices here, and the one I would have picked is a performance in my favorite film of 2021, Mass. Jason Isaacs in Mass gives such a powerful performance as a father grieving, trying to come to terms with what happened to his son. All 4 of the actors in this incredible film are at the top of their game, but Jason Isaacs, who has never been nominated at the Oscars, I think gives his best performance on film to date. So emotionally devastating all the way through. Mass is an astonishing film that should have gotten into the Oscars. It should have gotten into Best Supporting Actress for Ann Dowd and or Martha Plimpton. Reed Birney is also excellent, filling out what is mostly a 4-person cast. But Jason Isaacs in Mass just knocked me out. I cannot believe anyone could watch Being the Ricardos followed by Mass and say, okay, let's nominate J.K. Simmons over Reed Birney or Jason Isaacs. My feeling is not enough people in the Academy watched Mass, and that is a shame. At the very least, it should have gotten into Best Supporting Actress and Best Supporting Actor. Being the Ricardos, on the other hand, could have easily been omitted from the Academy Awards, and I don't think anybody would be crying about it today. I mean, alright, fine, those nominations for Javier Bardem and Nicole Kidman can stay, I guess, but J.K. Simmons in Best Supporting Actor, that one needs to go. 100%, I would take him out of this category and replace him with Jason Isaacs in Mass.
You do not know. I know how he fought, how he died.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments below, what do you think were the worst nominations at the 94th Academy Awards? Do you agree with my picks, or do you think I have it all wrong? We'll see you next time at the Awards Contender.